It's known as Dr. Breakthrough. You always know my disclaimer. I can't provide a breakthrough. I just prescribe the breakthrough. However, when people follow my breakthrough prescription, God Almighty provides a breakthrough they desire and deserve. And what's a breakthrough? It's exploding through barriers that at one time seemed insurmountable. And our speaker today, my friend, is going to help empower you to have a financial breakthrough. As a matter of fact, let me make sure I get the right background on here. But listen, you're going to hear from a man. Listen, Marvin Mitchell. Oh my goodness, you're going to be blessed beyond measure. So, most of you know the story. I've said it, I don't know how many times, and that is that when I developed, you got to learn to give expression to the impression so you become more impressionable. So, if you want to hear the voice of God, the more you feel those impressions, the more you got to give expression. So, I got this impression to do this how to make an extra 9K, Marvin, to 90K or more in 90 days or less. And so I was like, okay, I don't even know what this is going to mean, but I'm starting today. Okay. So I just put up a free Facebook group, right? And so Myron had called me and said, hey, man, I'm going to be in town, Doc. I want you to come on down. I got this thing. I said, okay, well, I'm starting this challenge. So when I'm done, I'll come down there, right? And so anyway, make a long story short, so I teach and I'm pouring my heart out, and people are inboxing me, Doc, this is great stuff. I never heard anything like this, blah, blah, blah. One guy said I'm 73. That's the best presentation I ever heard. So I'm feeling pretty good. I get down there and I'm sitting down there. Myron speaks for about an hour and a half, gives this little, I jokingly call him, he gives his invitation. About 350 people in the room. They take him up as his offer. So he asked me to come up to his room afterwards. So we're just joking around about old times. And one of the ladies hands him his thing about here's the account. And so $970,000. So I said, Myron, don't laugh at me. He said, what do you mean? I said, man, I just launched this thing. I'm thinking it's pretty good. How to make an extra 9K to 90K in 90 days or less. And here I come down here, you make like 970,000. He said, wait a minute, that's confirmation. He said, you said 90K or more, right? I said, yeah. He said, well, 970 is more than 90K. And you said 90 days or less, right? I said, yeah. He said, well, hour and a half is less than 90 days. Well, anyway, hey man, here to talk with you. We asked three simple questions. I already know the answer, and I can't wait for your answer because I actually mentioned you to folks and said I'd hope that you would be coming. Number one, and then is this Marvin Mitchell? Have you ever made an extra 9,000 to 90,000 or more in 90 days or less?
I have. Yeah.
And tell us about it. I know it's probably been a couple of different times, but tell us about your experiences.
No, I have several times. I mean, that's if I'm not making 90K in 90 days, I feel like I'm on minimum wage, So it's one of the things you mentioned, Myron. One of the things that Myron says, and I'm sure you told your audience this, is that it's easier to make a lot of money in a little bit of time than it is to make a little money in a lot of time. And one of the things he refers to is when you make a little money, and you try to do that over a long period of time, you've got to get raises, you got to go up the ladder, you have to deal with attitudes and too many people, you have to get more accountability from the top. You might have to now work 50 to 60 hours. You lose your financial freedom, hoping to get a pay raise, and then you finally get that pay raise and it's not even worth it, right? And you work harder. You got to work a lot harder. To make a lot of money in a little bit of time, it requires your mind and it requires creativity. Creativity is actually easier than all of the effort, but most people, they don't stop to think, they just only do. Because you already have everything inside of you that's you're already equipped to do every single thing that's going to get you there. You just got to believe in it and tap into it. So when I made my first, I would say 90K, it was actually the first time in 90 days I made 350K or so in 90 days. And that was really utilizing a resource that I already had. I mean, I've been a financial advisor
Okay.
for a while. And, I was doing really well with that company now. I got to the point where I went from making like 80 grand to like 2 million in my own financial firm. But I'm not even counting that money. That's just the consistent, stable money. I'm talking about how do
Excellent.
you go from creating something new to just bringing new lump sums of money? So that's what I'm going to talk about. So I knew I had been reasonably successful as a financial advisor. I taught financial advisors around the country. I've spoken. I've done a lot of those things. And what hit me is, why don't I train my competition more? So that's my
Mm,
first. So a lot of people are afraid to train their competition because they think they're creating competition, but they're not competition, right? The only competition is yourself.
come on.
So what I thought about was, okay, I had been successful. There are people more successful than me. But there are a lot of people who are less successful than me at this one task. They might be more successful than me in other areas, but in this case, I was more successful at them in this particular area. So the thing that people, and this is an important lesson in here, Stan, a lot of people have imposter syndrome. They think just because somebody else is doing it better than them, that they're not equipped to teach. But the way I look at it is, let's just say I'm a freshman coming into high school and you got a senior, right? Well, the senior is doing a lot better than me because they made it to 3 or 4 years. But guess what? The senior might be so far ahead of me that I might not be able to fully understand what this senior is doing. So it's sometimes I'd rather learn from a sophomore than a senior. Same thing. You might be a sophomore, but guess what? If you're one step ahead of the next person, then guess what? You're equipped to teach them. You don't have to be 10 steps above. You have to be one step. So I took that into consideration. So I said, well, you know what? Let me just drop something and teach individuals how to do what I do. It's a financial advisor. I didn't have a program. I didn't have a course. I didn't have, you know, any credibility of teaching anybody how to do it before. I just knew I did it. So what I did was I said, hey, I've been able to make this amount of money. Let me show you how to do it. Okay, great. What does it look like? I'm going to do a webinar. You're not a webinar. I'm going to do a Zoom meet, every week for a few months. So here's a funny story about that. When I first tried to do that, Dr. Stan, I tried to charge $3,000 for it. Nobody would buy it,
Wow.
not one person. And I was trying hard, $3,000. But what's funny is that I got advice from a mentor that said, well, raise your price. I said, they won't buy it for 3,000. What do you mean raise my price? That makes
Wait,
no
wait,
sense.
wait, Marvin. So you say, wait a minute, they not even buying at 3,000. Now you want me to raise my price. And so that's messing with your mind, right? But you're submitting to the mentor because oftentimes a mentor will tell you something that's counterintuitive. Is
Yeah.
totally different than what you would think, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make logical sense. I'm making 3,000, I'm not selling it for $3,000 and raise the price to $15,000. Not like 3,500, not 4,000. $15,000. Made no sense. But guess what? I sold 27 of those in 3 days at 15K. Same program. So I learned a valuable lesson. Hold on. Let me calculate that really quick.
27,
15K.
405,000.
Yeah. So I made about 360. So maybe it was a little bit less than 27. But either way, I made over $300,000 in a short amount of time on one presentation. Well, how? Let me tell you, this is so crazy. If you go into psychologically, if you go into a diamond store, one diamond costs $100 and another diamond costs $10,000. Well, what's lower? The $100. But are you going to value that diamond that costs $100? Or are you going to even believe it's real?
Mm, wow.
So what are you going to do? You're going to go toward that 10,000 and you're going to be asking questions like, why is this $100, but this is 10,000? Now, theoretically, it could be a similar diamond, but your mind is automatically going to go to, why is this one 10,000? So what are you going to do? You're going to listen for the value more. I'm not listening for the value of $100. I'm saying it couldn't be valuable because they didn't even price it like it was a value. But the $10,000 diamond, what was remarkable about this 10,000? There's a story about, and I know I'm kind of going on and on, but it's all psychology, right?
Yes.
There's a story about a ring that it was $1,000. This is I don't know if this is a true story, but I've heard it several times. So the ring was $1,000 and it would not sell at $1,000. So the owner went out of town. He went and told his people, look, we got to get this out the store. Just drop a zero, right? So the owner comes back and his employees at the store say, guess what? We sold that ring. They said, really? You sold the ring? Awesome. Well, I guess, we got rid of it, dropped it down to $100. They said, what do you mean? He said, well, yeah, I told you to drop a zero. He said, oh, I thought you said add a zero. It sold for $10,000. It's crazy, right? Because people wanted to know, why was this one so much more than the rest of these diamonds? What made it value? So what that allowed me to do, psychology, it improved me because, granted, in my mind, if I had to charge $15,000 for it, my thought process was, I got to make sure that it has enough value in it.
Right.
So now I'm thinking about, how can I add bonuses and make it more of a value? Well, people bought that $15,000 to the point where it started off at 15,000. I had to end up raising the price to $35,000 eventually. This was a program I couldn't sell for $3,000. So that
Wow.
was the first time that I made 90K. So what's the lesson from that? Life sees you the way that you value you. So if I value myself at 30,000, 40,000, the world will agree. If
Right.
I value myself cheaply, the world also will agree. The problem is, a lot of the world don't want cheap. They don't want discounts. What they want is value. So yeah, that's my story on Stan, on the first time that I made 90K. Now I went on to make, $5 million in a short amount of time in one or two presentations, 7 million, but again, that was just me building upon the lessons that I kept learning over time. It didn't happen instantly. So first time I made 90K, over 90K in 90 days or less.
Wow. Well, that I always tell people, when you undervalue yourself,
Yeah.
you and the rest of the world will undervalue what you have to offer. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember I think it was Jesse Rittenhouse that said, I bargained with life for a penny and life will
Mm-hmm.
pay no more. However, I begged at the evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer. He gives you what
Mm,
you want. But once you have
mm,
set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I work for
yes.
menials hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I have asked of life, life
Life
would
would
have
have willingly
willingly
paid.
paid. And the greatest book ever written says, you have not because you ask not. Marvin, I said, that's never going to apply to me. I'm going to ask. Tell me
Mm.
yes, tell me no, tell me something. I got to go, but I'm going to ask, right? And
Let me tell you, he's definitely gonna ask. I don't know, Stan definitely reached out to me at least 10 different times for to do this interview. And at first I'm busy. I'm running a couple of different businesses. Sometimes didn't reply back. So Stan goes around me and goes to people who knew me, and then they're reaching out to me on behalf of Stan. And I was like, "Oh, you work for Stan now?" No, no, he just reached out to me and said, "I need to get in touch with you."
Dr.
And
Stan, your
eventually,
plan.
he kept reaching out, kept reaching out. I was like, "Okay, all right." So this man is persistent. Let me get this interview done. Let me make it happen. So if you ask enough times, a lot of people give up. That's the problem. A lot of people give up after the first 2 to 3 attempts, and they say, "Oh, I tried." If Stan would have gave up after 2 or 3 attempts, this interview wouldn't have happened, and probably a lot of other success that Dr. Stan Breakthrough has had in his life. He had to break through. He had to break through to something. Sometimes you have to keep going, even when it seems like it's at a dead end. So, that's powerful as well. The power of persistence, the power of not giving up. You're gonna do this. You're gonna go out and attempt to make 90K in 90 days or less. And the first time, maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. So what are you gonna say? Oh, it don't work. I tried it.
Mm,
No, do it again.
come
But
on.
it didn't work the second time. Try. But these are the same people, Dr. Stan, who go out and they spend $30,000, $40,000 to go to school their freshman year. They still not a millionaire. So they say, well, let me try again. Let me
Oh,
spend $30,000, $40,000. Let me go again for the second year. Nope, millionaire yet? Nope, still not a millionaire. Let me go a third year. Let me spend another 40,000. Then inflation increased. So they said, let me pay even more. Fourth year, let me try pay $45,000. Nope, didn't work. You know what? I'm still not a millionaire. Let me go. Some of y'all even say, let me go to grad school. Then I'm going to be a millionaire. Let me pay $80,000 for that year. Nope. Let me pay a $90,000. Now you got all these student loans that you're trying to pay back when you could have just paid somebody the first time, got a mentor, got it right, and then you would have been able to follow in that person's footsteps, and then you could have avoided $200,000 in debt.
Come on, Marvin. You talking now, man. As a matter of fact, it reminds me of somebody, you probably remember his name, but this guy said something like this. He said, I missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again, and that's why I'm a success, Michael Jordan. I mean, what
Yep,
if he'd have quit when he
I
got
got
cut
that
from the
posted.
basketball team, or
Mhm.
what he would? And so, what I tell people is, you got to miss some shots in order to make some shots. And if you want to make a lot of shots, you probably got to miss a bunch of shots practicing
Mm,
until you get that good. And so, the beautiful thing is, we always tell people replace the word try with the word commit. The try is the lie. The try is to give my mind an excuse. If it doesn't work, I can. No, no, no. I don't ever say try. I don't allow people to say try. I say commit.
mm.
And so when you commit, my friend, then as I tell people, once you make up your mind to do something, then God will orchestrate circumstances to align themselves in your favor. When you say you can't, your mind stops trying. But once you ask, how can I? Your mind keeps searching till it finds a way. There's a way, and you can find it. And if not, you can invent it. And I told people
Absolutely.
that's what I've done with this 9K to 90K. And I gave up with several different ways. I interviewed several different people. I had people from real estate, people from network marketing, people from cryptocurrency, people from insurance, people I taught like from the speaking. Matter of fact, that's how you and I met. I got a call from Myron one time and said, "Hey, man, I was telling these guys we got this conference coming up with um,
Path to prosperity.
Grant Cardone, a bunch of these guys, and
Yep.
I told them, you got to have Dr. Breakthrough close. He said, who's Dr. Breakthrough? He said, man, just
Hmm.
trust me, you know. But that's how I first met you, right? And that's why I always tell people too, you don't understand the power of relationships and just blessing people, right? I never forget the
Hmm.
time I called Myron because I heard him the other day and he's talking about all these books. I said, Myron, you forgot to tell him. Remember, I called you one day. I said, hey, Myron, get on the plane, man. I knocked a hole in the heaven, just signed this $1.4 million contract with this company. And they're sending me and Chuck Norris on this tour to speak for them. And that was right before my book came out. And I said, so I told him about your book and they're interested. So fly down here tomorrow, bring your book. He said, wait a minute. You just want me to get on the plane. He's a lot busier now. He said, you just want me to get on the plane. I said, dude, I never left you wrong before, have I? He said, okay. So he comes down. I kid you not. 20 minutes later, after being in the guy's office, he signs a check, $200,000, a down payment for 100,000 copies of Myron's book. And that's why I'm
Wow.
so glad I made sure of the affiliate thing first, right? Got that set up.
Right, right, right.
But anyway,
No, that's awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
but I'm saying, that was $200,000 like in like 25 minutes. But you
Right.
don't think of stuff like that, right? But once you set your attention to say, you know what, how can I make an extra 20, and again, whatever the number is, but I just said 9,000 to 90,000 or more, right? In 90
Right.
days or less. And then things started happening, things started pulling together, and now here we are. So anyway, but I want to drag on too long, but I know you because you had a time when you did like 5 million in a day or something like that.
Yeah, it's that was more so the power of just leverage, right? You
Right.
know, it's pretty easy. I mean, if you have a
Wait, stop,
presentation
Marvin, stop.
was
We just said millions in a day, and you said it's
right.
pretty easy. Yeah, it's pretty easy now, but it probably wasn't easy at first, right? Because see,
Well, this
I
is what
said
I teach my
everything in life
students.
gets easier a long
Hmm.
time after it's hard. You just got to get through the
Right,
hard part to get to the easy part. But the hardest part is in your mind, right? Once you get
right.
that, and then you learn some methods. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, this is what I teach my mentees. I tell them we all say we get shirts made. Say it's only $1 million.
It's only,
You
come on.
know, so practice it. It's just only $1 million. Now, if you say it's $1 million,
Okay, wait, pause for a minute. Everybody out there,
uh-huh.
did y'all just repeat what he just said? Because see, that's again the problem I find today is people are addicted to information, but they seem to be
Hmm.
allergic to implementation. And see, I'm a
Hmm.
martial artist. We didn't go to karate lectures, we went to karate practice. So it's like
Hmm.
you tell me what to do, you show me what to do, then I do it, and I got to do it over and over again. So, folks, he's gonna
Hmm.
say it again, and I want you to repeat it out loud because your subconscious needs to hear it. Say that again, Marvin. We went too fast.
It's super simple. When you say it's $1 million and you think it's hard, then it's hard.
Right.
If you say it's only a million
Only.
dollars, what it does, the psychology in that your mind, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the truth and the lie. So if you tell yourself it's only $1 million enough, guess what? You will believe it's only $1 million, and something that's only is easy to achieve, right?
Right.
So once you achieve it, you're gonna blow right past it because it was only $1 million anyway. You expected it. Nothing great happens without the expectation of it happening first.
Come on.
So repeat after me. It's only $1 million.
It's
It's
only a
only
million
million
dollars.
dollars. So your money cannot grow beyond your mindset.
Come
And
on.
here's the deal. Well, you say, well, what about people who win the lottery or people who win, in the NFL? Yes, your money cannot stay
Right.
beyond a bad mindset because what will happen is who goes bankrupt more than others, right? People who get up and inherit wealth quickly, like people who win the lottery or people who are in the NFL. They get this money and then they lose it, and a lot of times they end up in a worse financial situation than they were before. But if your mindset is here and you make the money, but you can lose all of that money, but guess what? You're eventually going to get it back because your money has to catch up with your mindset at some point. It's all a measure of energy from your mindset. All you have to do is continue to elevate your mindset. How do you elevate your mindset? You have to get into the right rooms. You have to do things like listening to this 90-day challenge. You have to be around the presence of people like Dr. Breakthrough said. Person didn't want to fly out. They flew out. They got into the presence, end up being a check for $200,000. They got into the room. So one of the things that I like to say is some things can't be taught. They can only be caught.
Come on.
Some things you can't learn from a lecture. You can't learn from looking on YouTube. You can't learn from reading a book. You have to be in the presence of the energy and you just have to catch it. You don't even know how it happened. You just knew I was around these successful people and some of that successful energy somehow dropped on me, right? It's like a spirit, right? You can be around a lot of evil and you can get an evil spirit in you. You could be around a lot of great money energy and a lot of great money energy will flow onto you. You just got to put yourself into the presence and change your environment because once you change your environment, powerful things will happen. Look, Dr. Breakthrough, a shark. If you put a shark into a fish tank, it cannot grow beyond the size of that fish tank. It
Right.
can't grow beyond its environment. But if you take that same shark and you put it into the ocean, all of a sudden it will begin to grow until its natural size.
Yes.
Notice what I said. It will grow into its natural size, which means naturally you're already supposed to be doing a lot better than what you're supposed to be doing. You were equipped for that. You were equipped to naturally grow into a big size. But what do? You get into a position where you limit yourself by staying into an environment that was never meant for you to begin with. You see, you are a giraffe. That means your head already sees high above the trees. Your vision is already clear. There's no blockage because your head is above the leaves. Your head is above the trees. You see it, the land flowing of milk and honey right there. But what's the problem? Is sometimes you start to have imposter syndrome. You start to believe it's too easy. It just doesn't seem right. It must be too good to be true. So you want to get validation. So you stick your neck down and attempt to get permission or validation from a turtle.
Mm.
Now, the turtle isn't a bad person. The turtle might be a giraffe in other areas, but in this particular area, they're a turtle and they can only see 2 feet in front of them. So what do? Is they tell you, oh, you can't do that. That won't happen. I don't see it. Of course they can't see it. They're a turtle. You were the giraffe. What happened? You stuck your neck down too long and you started to assimilate to that environment. And here's the problem, Dr. Breakthrough. The oxygen flows through a giraffe's neck. So if a giraffe keeps their neck down too long, they can suffocate, pass out, or even die from being in that bad environment for too long. So some of y'all are just walking like the walking dead. Yes, you're alive. Yes, you're moving. You're driving. You're going to work. You're on so autopilot that you don't even realize that you're not even really living life because you're stuck in this mental environment that you need to get out of and go back to your natural habitat of either the ocean or being above the trees. Only you get to do so. So people attempt to stop you because um, they're seeing what you're stepping over. They're seeing it as a cliff and they want to protect you. So they say, no, stay, stay, don't go, stay, stay, stay. But your cliff is only a curve. Look, let me tell you, even Jesus's family, when
Come
Jesus'
on.
family, when Jesus' family was trying to hold him back on the mission and the purpose that he was supposed to do, you know what Jesus said? He said, get thee behind me, Satan. Now, was he calling his family Satan? Anything in opposition of the will of God is Satan. So even if his family was holding him back from the purpose that
Come
he
on.
had at that particular time, that was opposition to the will of God. Therefore, even a family was Satan at that time. So who's holding you back from your dreams? The quickest way to kill a big dream is to introduce it to a small mind.
Mm. Wow, wow. Well, man, I tell you, we could go on and on. This is so powerful. Well, you do this powerful training, and maybe there's some people listening. They're saying, "Man, I want to learn some more from you, Marvin. I love your teaching style. I love what you've accomplished and so forth." And so, tell us a little bit about the Wealth Creators. Now, I'll have those if you see us on YouTube, there'll be a link down there you can click on to get more
Yeah.
information. If you're in my Facebook group, I'll make sure I have the link down there as well. But tell us briefly about that as we come to a close.
Yeah, I do a 5 day training. It's virtual,
Okay.
like a 5 day challenge. Maybe you've heard of a 5 day challenge, but it's virtual. We have a ticket where there's Q&A where I actually answer your questions every day for those 5 days. And then we have a lesson that gives you the blueprint to reprogramming your mind to wealth creation, learning how to make money babies. That means monies that continue to reproduce after its own kind, right? We want to teach you how to grow your money multiple times off the same dollar. And there's a blueprint to do that, to get away from the old standard of how people, have raised money in the past and why 76% of people run out of money. So we want to introduce you to the new way of wealth creation. But in order to do so, you got to get into the room, which
Room.
is what we're providing for you. So yeah, we're gonna drop that link in the chat. Again, this is a 5 day training that we're doing, and all you have to do is sign up for it. The tickets are not expensive. It's only the highest ticket, I believe, is only $397.
Wow.
Right? The lowest ticket is only about like what 197 or so. So it's very, very, very affordable, and it's going to be packed with value. And by the end of that time frame, what everybody typically say, and thousands of people have went through this training, Dr. Breakthrough, they typically say, I feel like I robbed you. I feel bad. Can I give you more money? I said, no, it's okay. I
Wow.
got you. They literally say that. So I got you. All you have to do is just sign up for that 5 day transform your wealth training, and go ahead and take that first step.
Wow. Well, thank you, Marvin. Man, it's been a privilege and a pleasure, a treat and a treasure, a joy beyond measure being with you. And thank you for all that you do to make a difference in people's lives. And folks, you definitely want to be there. One of my main mentors, Charlie Tremendous Jones, he's the one that said you'll be the same you are today, 5 years from now, except for the books you read and the people you meet. And so now that he's in heaven, I extended that and say, you'll be the same you are this year as next year, except for the books you read, the people you meet, and the seminars and Zooms you attend, and the information that you implement. So attend this thing, implement it. Your life's going to be transformed, and you're going to have a breakthrough. Matter of fact, somebody is probably going to have a bumblebee breakthrough. So what's a bumblebee breakthrough, Dr. Breakthrough? See, aerodynamically, it's impossible for the bumblebee to fly. His wings are too small in proportion to his body. But because the bumblebee doesn't believe that, he flies anyway. So, in spite of what you've been believing, you'll never be this. And what they told you, listen, my friend, you're going to learn some things and you're going to experience beyond that. And especially if you attend the Wealth Creator Seminar with Marvin Mitchell and the folks there that are dedicated, that are committed to your success. Matter of fact, I got to do this. I just thought of this. I posted this, or I'm posting this today, and that is this: surround yourself with the dreamers, the doers, the believers, and thinkers, but most of all, surround yourself with those who see greatness within you, even when you don't see it yourself. And Marvin, all of us got to where we are today because God's put somebody around us that saw in us the winner in us before we were winning on the outside, and they spoke to that. Like I say, every woman and every man, there's a fool and a king. The wise woman, like my wife, will speak to the king in the man and let that fool die.
Yeah.
And listen, my friend, I feel like a debtor. People spoke into my life, and I know Marvin's the same way. And part of what we do with our lives is paying off a debt. And so allow us to encourage, to empower, to speak life into you, my friend, because there's an inner winner. The world is waiting to come out. Marvin, I'm so glad you allowed that inner winner to come out, because I know there's the times, and there was times when you wondered, but you know what? A just man can fall 7 times and what? Rise up again. Okay, give them the last word, Marvin Mitchell.
Hey, the last word, just like Nike, sometimes you just got to do it. And I will tell you, don't let perfection be the enemy of greatness. Take the first step, mess up, take another step, mess up. I tell people all the time, last thing I'll say is that, there are people, I will do something and I can fail 5 times. People laughing at me along the road. Oh, he tried that little thing again. There he is trying a little thing again. The fifth time I'm successful, while the person who was laughing is still making a great plan to try one time. So move, even if you get it wrong, just move and a powerful thing will happen and go in your direction.
Wow. All righty, folks. So get with it. God bless you. Thank you, Marvin. Absolutely amazing. And folks, you deserve to be at that Wealth Creators